Hey everybody, this episode of the R&R Show is brought to you by Fun Again Games. Hello, Ruel. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic, Richard. How are you?
Not as good as you, because I hear there's good news, everyone, in the Gaviola household, correct?
Yes, we are. This is the Airbnb. I'm going to be saying au revoir, goodbye, so long to this thing. Real soon, we're going to be back at home. I'm going to be rebuilding the studio. So it'll be a little while till we get all our stuff back, but the plumbing issues are taken care of. The restoration has been completed. Yay, we're going home. I cannot wait to just sleep in my own bed for every night from now on, because the bed we had here at the Airbnb was probably the low point of,
Really?
of the situation. Yeah, it's just it's an old bad mattress, and it's like, ugh.
No.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to just spending the night at home. But just being at home, the pugs are gonna have the pugs have enjoyed their time here, but it's time for us to all go home, and we're so excited. And I do want to thank everyone, all the viewers and everyone in chat who have sent some best wishes to me and Michelle, and also through your DMs as well. We truly do appreciate that. I share them with Michelle, so thank you for your support and for your kindness during these rough almost 3 months. It's been way too long, but yeah. But thankfully, I was able to work on this little desk and do some run-throughs, not only here for the channel, but also on my Twitch channel. And speaking of games, we got plenty of games to talk about in this episode of the R&R Show.
We're going to be talking about 10 games because, well, folks, you may not have noticed, but the end of the year is almost upon us. And one of the things that happens at the end of the year, certainly in the States, although these days I think it's probably a worldwide phenomenon, is a thing called Cybermonday, which is when all of the online retailers out there start putting out big super sales. They're big sales of the year. And this episode is sponsored by Fun Again Games, frequent sponsor of the show. They're going to be doing a Cyber Monday sale. At this point, I do not know the date it starts, because one thing is, year after year, the Cyber Monday sales start starting on Sundays, and then Saturdays, and then the previous Mondays. So I'll put somewhere on the screen when I find out exactly when this sale is starting. But Ruel and I got an advanced sneak peek at the games that are going to be on sale and the prices. And we decided to say, hey, what would be the top 10 games we'd buy right now when this sale is going on? And there's going to be info for it down in the show notes and all of that. So I've got some very big savers. I think Ruel has a few too. But before we get to that, folks, in case any of these pique your curiosity and you might want to pick some up, well, Ruel, is there any way we could help them out with that?
Oh, we could definitely help them out with that. Folks, you're going to watch the show, you're going to listen, keep an ear out for one of us. We're going to say a secret word, and if you type in the name of the game we're talking about when we say the secret word and send it to an email to contest@rahdo.com, you'll be entered to win a gift certificate for, I believe it's $50. Is that correct?
$50 US.
There it is. Yeah. So the secret word this time is skunk. So why skunk? You'll have to watch the extended edition of the show when we stream this live on Twitch. This is all up on YouTube as well, but we talk about that before the actual recording of this show. So skunk, one of us, Richard or myself, will be saying it, and then you type in the name of the game that we're talking about at that time, send it to an email to contest@rahdo.com, and you'll be entered to win that gift certificate.
You got it, folks. And heck, you could get several games with that $50 based on the prices I've got on my list. So, without any further ado, Ruel, do you have anything more to say? Are you ready to get right to our number 10 on the list, I wonder?
Yeah, let's jump right into it. We're ready to save some people some money, and we've got some great games. My number 10, to kick things off, as our number 10 is Canvas. Now,
okay.
This is on sale over here at Fun Again Games. I got to play this game for the first time last year, and for me, it was an immediate hit. I love this game. It takes card crafting, does something really neat. It's like the most beautiful card crafting game I've seen. Now, if you're familiar with card crafting, you'll think Mystic Vale from John D. Clare. You'll also think his other game, Dead Reckoning, which was just came out. Canvas is a lighter game than that, but I will argue it's 10 times as beautiful as those games. You are building a canvas, bringing different elements of colors and shapes and stuff, and you're literally building a canvas, a piece of art there through drafting and set collection. Wonderful game. Plays in about, I'd say, like 30-40 minutes or so. And I love what they did the card crafting here. I think it's a very neat way to do a set collection game. You're putting colors and shapes into one little sleeve with these transparent sleeves, and as you do, you can see there are certain objectives or goals that you want to complete, like certain colors or certain shapes or whatever need to go here. And it's such a good game. And I believe it's been on Kickstarter a couple of times. They might have had a couple of reprints.
I think there might be a fundraising campaign for it, literally still running right now, though it might have just ended, for a new expansion that adds more stuff.
Gotcha. And this game is ripe for an expansion, because I think the base game, which is on sale right now, I think it's a wonderful game, but I always thought that for people who are deeper into the hobby, an expansion would really take this into the next level. Yeah. Have you been able to play the expansions or
this
game?
Honestly, I thought the base game was surprisingly crunchy. I mean, it's so simple. You're just grabbing one of the 5 cards that are out there that have just a little area, and then you superimpose them over your old to make like your own personal painting. But every one of these things has different elements. Oh, this has water in it. This has the other. And with all the different objectives you get every time, you can't possibly do it all. So you're constantly having to make compromises to play smart in Canvas. I'm really impressed by the game.
Yeah, love it. All right. So that's our number 10. Let's move on to our next game.
Let's do that. Number 9 on the list. I'll be honest, this is not the first time we've talked about this on the show. I've definitely mentioned in the past, because I already, regardless of the savings, have always been a huge fan of number 9, Amun-Re, the card game. And it has been on sale here for quite a while, because I think they've got a mountain of these in their warehouse, quite frankly. For a while, they were actually doing them as a giveaway when you bought stuff. And the thing is, I have never seen it this low, down to $5.99 to get this game. And if you go back and watch my video I filmed of it years ago, I mean, I thought it was a great game. It was a worthy game when, at its full regular price. At its heart, this is a card game version of Amun-Re, widely considered to be one of designer Reiner Knizia's greatest games of all time, or one of his greatest auction games. And the original Amun-Re did not work well for 2. This new version does, and it's a wonderful game for 2 players. It basically combines the stuff we're trying to auction for, building up, the ancient Egyptian civilizations over multiple generations, where, hey, we bid on stuff, some sticks around for future generations, others get reset, so you've got this really long-term strategy, but it's all driven by auctions. And the auctioning in this game is very, very reminiscent of Raw, another phenomenal one of Reiner Knizia's greatest. Raw is famous for having, look, everybody can see what bidding chips I have. I've got a 1, a 3, a 7, and a 10. And once my 10 is gone, everybody knows, I can always beat you because your 10 is gone. That always created interesting tension in Raw. What Amun-Re, the card game, does is it takes it to the next level, because you don't have just a preset number. You actually say, I've got 14 gold, and you divide that gold however you want. You can have a bunch of really low value cards or a few high value cards if you want to make sure you win. It's brilliant. It's such a smart design, and I've always been a fan of it. This is one of the games that I have kept on my shelves through many, many calls. I thought this game was worth it at its full price, but now that it is down to $5.99, I mean, geez Louise, if you were ever interested in Reiner Knizia classic auction games, I think it is worth checking out, especially because, as you pointed out in the pre-show, it's Reiner Knizia's birthday this month. In fact, it might literally be today when you're watching this show. So what better way to celebrate than picking up Amun-Re, the card game, for an insanely low price?
Yeah, seriously, but almost like a price of a cup of coffee these days.
Yeah, definitely.
A wonderful game by an outstanding designer. Yes, we are celebrating, or I am celebrating Reiner Knizia's our birthday throughout the month of November, friends. So great choice, Richard. I still have not played this. I love Raw, and this definitely feels like something in my wheelhouse.
Well, I know a place you can get it for cheap.
Really?
Yes.
Right.
I'll clue you in after the show.
Yes. Let's move on to our number 8. Number 8, come on up on screen. It is Paris, la Cite de Lumiere. I'm trying to do my French.
Oh my goodness. Where did that come from?
That's like a couple of years of French back in college that I'm so horrible at. That's pretty much all I can do. But anyways, DeVere Games, friends, has they are putting out some really fantastic stuff these days.
Yeah.
And this is much smaller in scale, but the game itself is solid. It's a tile laying game at its heart. You got those polyominoes. You're building, I think it's like the early or late 19th century Paris, and you are building the streets. And you see the little tokens there. Those are the lights. So you're lighting up the streets of Paris. And what you're doing is laying down those tiles, the polyominoes, but it's almost like a double draft, right? So you lay down those, and then the second half of the game, you're going to lay on top of those as well. And depending on how you know, the spatial elements and also the colors and whatnot, that's going to give you fewer or more points. Oh, it's a two-player game. Michelle and I love this game. It's still in our collection. We played it a couple of years ago when we got it. And I feel like for a tile-laying game, it's sort of overlooked for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I think it's wonderful. And that's why it's on number 8, Paris, la Cite de Lumiere.
Oh, it was worth it just to hear you try to muddle your way through that a second
Apologies
time.
to our French viewers.
You double-dipped the chip, Jerry. No, it's a great game. Like I said, it's a double-decker tile layer. First, you're tile laying to build the streets, and then you're trying to build the buildings on top, and there's long-term and short-term and objectives and all kinds of stuff. Jen and I found, for folks who are interested in interaction, it can be a little cutthroat. You can definitely be making moves to cut off your opponent. They could have been working, I've been trying to get this street like this. Oh, no, don't anywhere but there. But if you're looking for a tile layer with some player interaction, I think you'll be pleased. That's a good choice. Yeah.
That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, Michelle and I do, and we do enjoy that a little more. That type of player interaction, and also there's like special actions that you can take as well, which really adds to the depth of the game. So yeah, that's our number 8. Let's move on to our number 7.
Okay, let's do that then. And this is another one that just blew me away when I saw it on the list. How cheap number 7, Dragonsgate College is. Now this was a game I covered many years ago, actually. And it's interesting. I went back and watched my video of it this morning because, I hadn't played it for several years. And I'm like, what did I think of it? And this was interesting because I never gave my final thoughts for this game because at the time at Essen Spiel, my wife was doing a collaboration with NSKN, the publisher. She was actually selling glass. And so I said, well, I can't give you my final thoughts on this game because every additional sale comes into my pocket because my wife is selling, accessories for it. So I never did a final thought. So here we are, all these years later, and let me tell you, folks, $10.99. This game is rock bottom prices. I mean, this is price to move. And I have always thought this is a very, very sharp dice drafting game with a lot of really cool elements. And so let me finally give my final thoughts all these years later. I don't think Jen's making any money off of selling her little glass potion bottles anymore. Although if anybody's interested in those, you can always check them out at www.gamerglass.art. I think she does actually still sell them. They're a popular line for her. But okay, this is a Hogwarts-esque fantasy university where we are training. Actually, it feels more like Dungeons and Dragons universe because we're training kids to be the best warriors, wizards, and thieves. Because as part of setup, there are a bunch of quests that the nearby villages need help with, and so we're trying to train students to get the right skills to be able to go out and complete these quests. And the whole thing is driven by dice drafting. At the beginning of every round, we roll some dice. Some of the dice are mine. Some of the dice are yours that are in this common pool, and some of them are neutral. And here's the thing. If I use my own die or a neutral die, I just get to do the action. And there's all kinds of actions. Hire teachers, build buildings, because there's like this whole little polyomino tile-laying Tetris game off to the side on your own board. Train the kids, have them go through the local dungeon, recruit imps that let you change the value of the dice, all the kind of stuff you would expect in a very, thematic fantasy world. And so if I use the neutral die or my own die, I just do the action. But if I use your die, Ruel, you get to do the action also. And what happens is one of the actions you can do over the course of the game is replace the neutral dice with your own dice. And that's a big part of the strategy because, hey, if at the beginning of a round we're playing a 2-player game and we roll, 4 or 5 dice, and 3 of them are mine, 1 is neutral and only 1 is Ruel's, Ruel doesn't want to use any of my dice because he'll be giving me free actions as well. And so, the draft becomes so much more engaging because, wouldn't you know, the number, Ruel needed a 6. The only 6 that came up was on one of my dice, which means, hey, we're both going to be doing a 6 action this turn. And it's so sharp, and I've never really seen anything else quite like it. Now, all the dice drafting stuff you would expect, using them as basically kind of dice worker placement, modifying the dice to do other stuff. And basically, we're trying to complete these quests, which means we've got recipes to fulfill. We're trying to do tile laying. We're trying to manipulate the dice. It's all very cool, but this idea that it's just one strategy. And I know when I covered this years ago, a lot of people said, well, it seems like, it's just a broken strategy. Make your dice, replace the neutral dice with your dice, and you'll win every time. And here's the problem. For you to do that, you are spending time and resources that gets you nothing other than the potential of future bonuses on your opponent's turn, and you don't necessarily even have control over what those bonuses will be. So, while it may look like that's too powerful, I mean, a lot of people asked me this time, I was looking through my old comments and like, no, that's not a problem because you only have a few rounds. If you spend an entire round doing nothing but reprogramming dice so you could do stuff in the future, while I'm actually building the groundwork of a university that trains kids, I'm still doing more than you. And it just means, you'll get stuff later on if I use your dice. And there's no guarantee I will use your dice, because maybe I'll just try to stick to my own, or I'll muscle my own in. It's really sharp, very fun. My biggest worry is the board is huge. It is a ginormous board. And yet, at the same time, the tokens for the students and professors, they're full of super tiny little text. So, there were some usability issues with the game. I will admit that. But it looks nice, it plays sharp, it does some really cool stuff that I've never seen anywhere else in dice drafting, and you can get it now on sale for $10.99, which is why Dragonsgate College comes in at number 7.
Wow, you've sold me. I've never heard of this game before.
Yeah.
I had no idea you covered it. So yeah, that sounds interesting. I'm always down for a dice drafting game, and that looks fantastic. Now, I am worried about the text when you're talking like tiny text on.
It's tiny icons. I'm pretty sure the game is
me.
Completely language independent.
Okay. Well, cool. All right, great choice. Nice. I'm gonna, for our number 6, I'm also going to bring in a game that's really at rock bottom prices and something that most of us have probably not heard of. It's our number 6. It is Rosetta, the Lost Language. Oh,
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this one, I've got to shout out our friends, Ambi and Crystal over at the Board Game Blitz podcast. I heard about it during their episode on word games, and I am a word game nerd. I love word games. Yes, and they recommended this. This was actually Crystal's number 1 on her podcast. So I had to, check this out and look at the price on it. It's like, I think it's like $5 or something.
$4.99.
$4.99 for a word game. It's a cooperative game, plays 2 to 5 players. And what this is, Richard, is you literally are starting. You have a language that you're going to try to give clues to, as far as trying to get your fellow players to guess the word. Based on these inscriptions that you have. So, is there a... Let me
go to... there's not many pictures here. Let me go over to Board Game Geek.
Yeah, if you can go to BGG.
Okay, here we go.
Those are the pictures right there.
There
the inscriptions. We go. So you're the active player is going to select one of those and assign a word to it, a meaning.
Right.
Based on that...
Oh, wow, yes.
Yeah. The rest of the team now has 10 guesses to figure out the meaning of that word. So you're going to use the other inscriptions to sort of lead your team to the actual meaning of the game. It is a fascinating concept to me. And I've never played it, but just based on Crystal's description on our podcast, the description here, and the fact that it's $4.99, I want to play this right now. I mean, look at this. I mean, you're taking these little inscriptions and like hieroglyphics, I guess. They're like hieroglyphics. You're going to, put meaning to it, and hopefully you'll steer your team to victory.
So that's what these pictures are. You're trying to actually communally create a iconographic language that describes the picture.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's my experience with this game. The publisher actually contacted me when it was first getting ready.
Okay.
And I read the rules for it. And I thought, oh my God, this game sounds so incredibly offbeat brilliant, but I will literally melt down. As I understood reading the rules to, how you actually have to do triple, quadruple levels of reverse deduction type stuff to figure out what players' little scribbles and, this means that word, but how could that other thing mean that other word? Like you can see, underwater and mermaid, they both have the lightning bolt. The lightning bolt came from one of the other things. How does this to that? I was just, wow. For somebody who loves deduction and love word games, this would be great, but I was afraid for me and Jen it would be too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's now. Just to be fair, Crystal did say it's not for everyone, and I can
Okay.
see that. It is a different type of word game, different type of deduction game. But I think it's brilliant. Just like you said, just hearing the concept, I'm so excited about that. And for $4.99, I'm definitely going to give it a shot at that price. So that's our number 6, Rosetta: The Lost Language.
You will have to report back, because I have been curious about this game, and I've always been second guessing. Should I have passed on covering it, because it just seems so freaking brilliant, and I just was afraid I'm not brilliant enough to play it, quite frankly.
I will report to you on how we do. I mean, I'll probably be terrible at it, but I'm going to enjoy it regardless. But yeah, that's our number 6.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Let's move on then to number 5, which is another game that we've talked about on the channel. This was like one of the ones in our very first episodes of the R&R show. I mentioned Progress: Evolution of Technology. And this is a perennial one that Fun Again has in their blowout sale section, because I guess they've just got a lot of copies of it. And unfortunately, this is a great tech tree game, which I did not prepare for by actually getting it on screen. I'm frantically trying to type at the same time. There we go. Here it is. Progress, the evolution of technology. This is a tech tree game where, a lot of civilization style games, hey, one of the many things you do is a tech tree. This tech leads to this, technology leads to this. This entire game is about making investments in technology. It looks like they got no pictures here. So you know what we need to do? We need to go to Rahdo, Progress, Evolution. And we'll just pull up my old video from 2014. Folks, This is not a cult of the new game we are talking about today. This is a classic oldie that Jen and I both loved. And much like Amun-Re before, this is another game that I have had on my shelves and I have carried through call after call after call and kept it because Jen and I really like it. We love tech trees, and this is a game that just strips everything else out and just lets you focus on that. Hey, if I get this technology, but this technology, that lets me do this next level and work our way up, and that's how we score points, developing our civilizations based on our technologies, depending on, how things work together. But there's a few things that really make this stand out. One, you have a handful of cards. And this is one of those games that, to play this card, I got to give up other cards. Those cards go into a discard pile that is publicly available to everybody. So very much like Lost Cities, every time you're throwing cards away, you are potentially giving your opponent exactly what they need. If they're not going to draw from the blind deck, they could draw the discard pile, and I gave you that. Why did I use that? I could have paid for that with anything. So that was one thing I love about the game. The other thing I love about the game too is this game actually references the process of time. When you play your card to make your invention, it does not instantly get invented. It takes time. And so you put these tokens on it that slowly come off until you eventually have the invention. And it's fully ready. It's ready to give its abilities, its points, whatever. But here's the thing. As soon as you put it onto the table and it's going to be starting to slowly build up, it already counts as a breakthrough for other things. And I just love that thematically, that, hey, just the idea of this, we haven't perfected it yet. It doesn't work yet, but we've already had the idea for the wheel, and that gets our mind thinking we can already be starting to piggyback off of that, even if we're still in the process of slowly inventing the wheel, or fire, or chariots, or the internet, or whatever it might be. And I've always thought that was a really, really cool thing, too, that does a better job of capturing the human spirit of invention more so than other games where, you just put it down and it's just done. No. Things don't just spontaneously pop into existence. They take time to perfect, but you can still get inspiration from them and work your way up. So I've always been a big fan of this game, and it is now available at Fun Again at a low, low price, lower than I have ever seen it before, down to $12.99. Wow. And this is a big, rich card game with lots of replayability. I'm a fan, always have been. Number 5, Progress: Evolution of Technology.
Yeah, this game, I haven't played it, but I've always heard about how it's basically, a Civ game where, some Civ games, or a lot of Civ games have the tech tree. This is nothing but the tech tree, yes. Right? Yep. I mean, I'd love to play this game. At that price, oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Okay, let's move on to our number 4. This one is by a designer that most of us have probably heard or played some of his games.
Okay.
Our number 4 is Reef by Emerson Matsuuchi.
I seriously thought about this one, yes, when I saw it on the list.
I like to call. I was when I first played it. It just reminded me of Azul, but 3D Azul. You were building on top of things. You were building a reef. You got all the different coral pieces and whatnot. And there's these wonderful plastic. I mean, they're like toys basically. These wonderful toy pieces, almost like a Fisher Price toy, right? You're placing on your player board. But what you're doing is you're grabbing these pieces, put it on your board, and you're trying to complete the objectives there. So you want like 2 yellow ones next to each other or in a row, purples like 3 in a row. And what's really neat is the board is small, so you're going to be able to do objectives. But then to do other objectives, you're going to build on top of your previously placed pieces, and that's a really neat element to it. That's something that Azul doesn't have. And I'm wondering if Azul one day is going to go 3D. I feel like it should eventually.
Yeah, they feel like they've done everything else so far.
Right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. So, but Reef is, it's a wonderful design. Like others, Emerson's games, I mean, he's done, what is it, Foundations of Rome, Century Spiced Road, some really excellent, Spectre Ops, some really excellent games. And this is another one of them that are very, just the rules are solid, the gameplay is excellent. And I like this one as a gateway game, but also for hobby gamers as well.
Yeah.
I think it's gone well with all the different audiences, and that's why it's our number 4, Reef.
All right, excellent choice. Yeah, when I saw that one, I seriously considered. I don't think I'd seen it this low before. It's a bit more expensive than something we talked about, but you get a lot of plastic in this game.
Yes,
and like you said, it's kind of like Lego toys almost. The way these beautiful things just they don't snap together; they fit loosely together. But really sharp. Surprisingly crunchy little abstract game and beautiful, just lovely. If you see somebody playing it on a table at a convention, you say, "What is that? I'd like to play it," just because it looks so nice. Yeah. Cool.
Agreed.
All right. Well, that is a good number 4. But I've got an even better number 3. Oh my goodness. This made my top 10. I think it was last year or it might have been the year before. Top 10 of the year. I think it was 2 years ago. Red Cathedral.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is another one from Devere. We talked about this. It's not the first time we talked about Devere today. Man, this publisher, they are firing on all cylinders. It seems like they can do no wrong. And I think Red Cathedral, when it came out a couple of years ago, really opened up the industry's eyes to what they can do. At its heart, this is a very, very simple little rondel game where there are a bunch of dice on the edge of the rondel, and on your turn, you're going to pick one of those dice, move clockwise around the rondel equal to the number of pips on the die, and then, of course, the dice are going to get re-rolled, and so that it's always updating, and you want to land that die into a spot where there's a bunch of other dice, because then that will compound the bonuses you get. But the place you land, every spot can get you resources that you need to build a Red Cathedral, or instead could let you interact with the guild that's in that spot as well. So this is a rondel with variable dice driving it that has multi-use spaces on it, and all of it is in the service of building the Red Cathedral. And it is absolutely brilliant. I think this made a lot of people's top lists of the year. And it is now available for a low, low sale price. And if you haven't had a chance to get it so far yet, this would be, I mean, you can check out my run through of it. It's absolutely brilliant. It has a great solo mode. There's one other thing that really, now, this might be why some people don't like it, but one of the things I love about it more than anything else is, hey, I can just spend a lot of time grabbing all our resources and then build later. But you have incredibly tight, restrictive storage. So this is one of those games where, oh yeah, you can spend a lot of time getting stuff, but then can you actually build what you need to build because you don't have room to get the other stuff you need? So it's an incredibly tight, tension-filled game. The Red Cathedral itself is different. You do a different configuration every time. And it's a communal building. So another thing is, if Ruel grabs like the base, because he really wants to get the points off of that and starts building it, but then I'm really quick and build a tower on top of his base, before he finishes his base, he'll look bad in front of the czar and actually lose points. So there's also this race element to it too. Everything about this game is just crackerjack, super smart, easy to teach, fun, fast playing. I cannot recommend highly enough. Number 3, Red Cathedral.
Yeah, that was also one of my games of the year as well when it came out. Just a fantastic Euro game through and through. Just very, very solid game. So great choice for number 3.
Alrighty.
Let's move on to number 2. This is a game I've been looking forward to like big time. This has been on top of my, I can't wait to play this. I have not played it yet, but it is Terra Nova. Friends, yes, this is the re-implementation
This wasn't on the sale list, was it? I don't remember seeing that.
I don't know if it was on the sale list or it was like on the new list. It might be on like the hot new list. Yeah, the hotness. But this is a re-implementation of Terra Mystica, an outstanding game that was out many years ago. But what I love about this, I've been really into this thing lately, Richard, where publishers are taking these classic designs and really streamlining down to like 60 to 90-minute experiences. Because the original Terra Mystica, if you haven't played it, folks, it's a game about, different factions that are trying to terraform the land. Like you have, I think it's like a mermaid trying to at the lakes. Witches at the forest. I don't know. Was there a skunk? I don't know if there's a skunk or dwarves and giants and whatever. But that's what the game's all about, and it's got a bunch of different movie levers and all kinds of different things. What Terra Nova does, and this is why I'm excited, it takes a bunch of stuff out. Like I know some people didn't like the cultist track or whatever. This takes out a bunch of stuff, but keeps the same tight gameplay. The board is smaller, so there's gonna be a lot more interaction. There's still that puzzly element of how are you gonna get your resources and spend them, and make sure that you can terraform your land. I am so thrilled to be checking out this game, and now that it's out and about, I need to get a copy of it. That's why it's number 2, Terra Nova.
Yeah. Play Terra Mystica in half the time and more approachable, so you can play it with more people. Yes, that is.
I'm all about it.
And you're right. It is very exciting. I didn't know they took out the cultist tracks. You're right. That's a big part. So you can just focus more on building in the world. That's really smart. And I think it still has the wide variety of different factions you can play as, but just a much more approachable game. Good choice. And it looks real pretty too. Actually, I think it looks more colorful than the original. Looking at that picture.
A little more vibrant.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Well, you had we were promising mostly to try to visit some old classics you might miss, folks, but both of us succumbed to the cult of the new. Ruel came in at number 2 with Terra Nova, and I'm coming in at number 1 with Endless Winter. I have to do it. I have to. Nice. Ever since I covered this game when it was on Kickstarter, a couple of years ago, I was so impressed by this design from upcoming design superstar Stan Kardonsky. And he's since, people didn't quite knew who he was, and since then, he's produced a lot of other really great designs too, but this, I think, is still pretty much going to be considered one of his masterpieces, and that is an interesting picture to put. No actual picture. You know what? We're going back to Rahdo. Endless Winter. Rahdo.
There you go.
Endless Winter. I'm just going to go on ahead and pull up my run-through of the prototype, which was a good-looking prototype, if I recall, if I can get there. Here we go. Come on. Okay, so this is a game about life in Paleo America. We are trying to build up our tribes to success, and it's there's so much going on in this game. And this game came out when it was on Kickstarter. I don't seem to have a single vision that's not zoomed in. All right, there we go. There's the whole game. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff going on in this game. It is a deck builder. It is a worker placement game. It is a territory grabbing game. It is a kind of puzzly tile laying game. And when I played it originally, I could not help but draw comparisons the year that it was on Kickstarter to two really hot games at the time, Arnak, or Lost Ruins of Arnak, and Dune Imperium. Because this was like a trinity of games that I played all within a month of each other that fused worker placement and deck building in completely different ways every time. And if you go back and watch my video, I said at the time, this was the best of the bunch. Because the way it works is you have these cards that represent all the members of your clan. And you have cool little miniature workers that represent the actual work that we'll go out and do. And I can just send out a worker and do a really, really weak version of the job, or I can supplement them with the cards from my hand. You can get more of the same type, so it's like more of this particular tribal elder will help the little guy who goes out and gathers resources or goes hunting or recruits more cards. You can get more cards in your deck. And it's got gorgeous art from the Miko, my favorite, or the Micho. Yeah. The Miko. Micho? I think it's the Micho. People have corrected me. It's the Micho. And it looks fantastic. It's incredibly rich. This is a prototype. The final version has even nicer looking components than this, with the dual layer boards and all of that. But it's just so rich and crunchy and satisfying as you try to work two completely different strategy board games together, getting your dice, or your worker placement to smoothly blend with your deck building, so that you can have the most successful, tribe. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's only just now starting to get in people's hands, and I was shocked. I mean, for what you get in the base box, let's go back over to you get all this stuff, all these miniatures, all these cards for $48. I was very surprised by that price. I did not expect it to be quite so low. So that was it, folks. That's number 1 on the list of games we'd buy right now while these sales are going on for Cyber Monday. Endless Winter. Phew. Okay.
Woo. Nice. All right.
All right, folks. Did you hear one of us say the secret word? Do you even remember what the secret word was? Were you paying attention? Somebody said skunk. It stunk up the place. And if you heard it, be sure to send an email to contest@rahdo.com with the name of the game that was spoken, and you'll enter to win $50. You've got a week to do it, folks, because we'll be doing a drawing for that $50 a week from today, day of recording, on November 22nd. That's right, we're having 2 weeks back-to-back of the R&R show, and I think that's about it, Ruel. Do you have anything more to say in closing?
No, I think we are good to go. Another excellent list, and I can't wait to do this again next week.
All right, well, then I will see you then, and hope to see all the rest of you too, folks. So, hope you have a very, very nice day. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Ruel, for joining us. And as always, thanks to Fun Again Games for sponsoring the show. Have a nice day, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.